spent. Walk out on that field today. Ask yourself this question. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. We murder. We murder. We murder. We murder. I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it. It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's hunt. Fever. I'm going to the house.
Look out, Fuzzy. Hey, Fuzzy.
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this is Miami Heat of football.
Somebody else got that already, though.
Bottom line is you got to buckle up with chin straps. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's so much crying from him. He's a man. He can be his just like us. He's a man.
I'll start putting my handle up there.
He's a man.
That's right, man. Always be branded.
And DM Grubb. I need to start putting my stuff up there.
Always be branded.
This is what it feels
Always.
like. Oh, my bad. I'm working my way. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Fever. I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house. It's a wrap. Game over.
I know this game is just getting started. I'm AJ Jones, and man, what a day we had yesterday. That Valencia King came in here yesterday. I am Valencia King. Came in here yesterday and set it all the way off. Team Texas Tuesday was like never before, and guess what? I don't like to take steps back. I like to keep moving forward. So we're gonna go on up a little bit higher on Winning Wednesday. I got my guy, I got my brother, I got my friend, I got my roadie, I got my dude, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com. David Grubb, what's going on, bro?
Today is actually a really popping day for me.
Yeah.
There's an article in The Athletic on sports radio in New Orleans, and I'm the lead in that article. My picture's on the front of it, so that's pretty cool. Larry Holder wrote the article, so that was pretty cool. But it opened up a discussion about why in a city like New Orleans there's no, all sports station, and then my points specifically are that there's no black voices, there are no women voices in either Baton Rouge or New Orleans. So that was that conversation. I'm glad to be a part of that anytime we can. I did a podcast, Locked On Saints, with my good friend, excuse me, and we call ourselves the Dome Patrol. My good friend Ross Jackson, because we're both bald headed and we love the Saints, so we said we're the Dome Patrol. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
And so that's up today. We had a good, really good football conversation about where quarterback salaries and things like that are going to go, and I'm sure we'll touch on that today. And yesterday did interviews with the Pelicans, some more of the players before they headed down to Orlando. Talked to Derek Favors and E'Twaun Moore. Favors is always great. Gave some great insight on mentally how he's, he lost his mother this year and dealing with COVID and dealing with all these things. So he gave us some great insight. And then it's always good when a player, calls you out for having a good question. And E'Twaun did that. And he and I sometimes have a little different kind of relationship. He says sometimes I'm a little too rough. But
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was cool yesterday. So it's been a good couple of days, and to be back here, and I got more stuff I'm recording tonight and getting ready for next week with the relaunch of the pod on Monday. It's just a lot, and I'd rather be busy than stagnant. So we go keep it rolling.
Hey, and that's what I love about it, man. I said it when you announced that the podcast will be debuting again on the 13th.
Yes.
on the 13th. You can't keep a good man down. You can't keep a good man down. I said it before. I'll say it again, man. Guys like you, somebody might say one thing, but you'll be down for about 5 minutes, about 5 good minutes. That's usually for somebody long enough to say, "Yo, what's up?" So, and like I told Valencia yesterday, man, I love seeing us put our own platforms in place so that no one again can tell us when, where, and how. You know,
Yes.
I got people calling me now. Hey, will you do this? Will you do that? Hey, man, I love it where I am, man. I love it right here. Is it ESPN? No. Is it Fox Sports? No. Is it CBS? No. NBC? But it is where I've got the liberty to talk about the things that matter and that nobody else anywhere down the dial, and I'm calling names today, 610, 790. Your boy almost got these hands today, bro. Your boy was
You gotta
almost
stop
on
calling him my boy now. You gotta stop that.
Hey, man, and what's crazy was somebody from Houston called him and got him today. So he got tuned up today. But they're not doing it, bro. They're not doing it. If we don't talk about these issues and we don't create platforms for ourselves to talk about these issues, then they're just not going to get talked about. And that's why I'm really glad to have you on today. I am glad to bring this young lady on right here, who I'm about to click in as we speak. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't y'all put your hands together for 3-time WNBA champ and Basketball Hall of Famer, the first woman to have a shoe deal with
Jordan brand. It was Nike, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Look, I want you to jump in and just take it, but we'll do it.
I sold those shoes. I sold those shoes.
Ladies and gentlemen, often imitated, never duplicated. It ain't nobody but Sheryl Swoopes. What's up, Sheryl?
What's going on? How you guys
hyped.
doing?
I'm hyped. Can you tell we hyped?
A little bit. I can tell.
Okay, all right, just a little bit.
Sure, I got a lot of questions to ask. I have a lot.
Let me tell you why we're so hyped, Sheryl.
Okay.
Before you came on, we were talking about the fact that we have platforms where we can get into some of the stuff that we're talking about getting into today. You know, we can come on and we can talk about the co-owner of the Atlanta Dream and her shenanigans that she's got going on that need to be addressed. We can talk about, you know, folks who, I told David before I came on, I got a little agitated because people are coming for me like I got to jump all over Deshaun Jackson. And I'm sorry, you're not going to set my agenda for me. I'm going to talk about what needs to be talked about, and I'm not going to get distracted with what you think is important. And we're grateful to have these platforms to do it. So we're glad to have you in here with us today, Sheryl Swoopes.
You know what? I'm going to try to call back because you guys are going in and out.
Okay.
So I'm gonna call back from my phone. Okay, I'll call right back.
No problem. We'll bring you back on, and y'all, she's coming back in, and we're just gonna get into it. But David, I gotta take I got a little bit before we have to take this break. Listen, man, what Deshaun Jackson said, what he posted was wrong. I said yesterday, anytime you post something that starts with Adolf Hitler said, it's gonna go wrong. And I will stand on top of the mountaintop and say that. But listen to me very clearly. Stop tagging me and stuff. Stop emailing me stuff. Stop asking me, well, when is LeBron going to say something? When is Shannon Sharp going to say something? When are you going to say? I just said something. I said something yesterday. And again, let me tag it with this. You're not going to change my focus. Racism, social injustice against Black people, economic injustice against Black people, systematic racism, and that's it. Period, point blank, end of discussion. You're not taking me off the focus.
Yeah, I told people yesterday because, you know, of course, same thing. It's that, you know, folks want to do a got you when somebody says something. And my point is very clear. Deshaun Jackson is not the movement. Stephen Jackson is not the movement. The movement is bigger than all of us. And because there are bad moments and bad actors on occasion does not sidetrack the issue that systemic racism is bigger than all of those things. One person's comments do not change the fact that those issues are real. So for Steven Jackson or Deshaun Jackson to say those things, like I said, first and foremost, you can never, ever, ever. If Hitler said the sky was blue, let it be. There's somebody else you can find that quote from. So yeah, that's ignorance on their part. But they are not the representatives of this movement. They are not the leaders of this movement. This is
somebody tagged that yesterday. Somebody said Steven Jackson, one of the leaders of the Black Lives Movement.
No, they are people with individual opinions within the greater scope, and they can have their opinions, and they should be called out. And I said Deshaun Jackson is ignorant, and that what he did was stupid and wrong, and Steven Jackson is wrong for double down on it, because it does. These are red herrings. These are what people use to distract you from the issue. It's the same thing. It's no different than a Chicago. It's no different than what do you care about this? It's no different than all the things when they try. Well, what about people get killed? White people get killed by cops. All those things are red herrings and distractions, and that's what they're trying to use this as. Just isolate Deshaun Jackson, punish Deshaun Jackson, say what you got to say, but let's also be real too. Riley Cooper kept his job after he said he would fight every in the place. So
got sent to Florida on a vacation for a couple of days to chill out with his mom and daddy, and got brought back in and played in every single game.
So Deshaun should absolutely face a penalty for what he did. His team has every right to punish him. The league has every right to punish him. But I tell you this, you ain't gonna throw Deshaun Jackson out of the league for this. No, not for being stupid. Not for being stupid.
They're not. They're not. So, and Valencia King had something real interesting to say. She said, well, quite possibly, similar to what Malcolm Jenkins did with Drew Brees, maybe they called Deshaun on the phone and said, yo, just Deshaun, here's why you can't say these things. Here's why that's not smart. Here's why we got to just keep doing what we're doing and not get caught up in anything else. And you know what? That brings up a very good point. Just because people don't call folks out the way that you think that they should, don't mean that they're not being, encouraged to do better. And again, man, I'm not giving it up.
And I'll just say quickly that the difference in these situations is, and people need to understand nuance, and nobody wants to talk about nuance, is we're holding people with actual power, their feet to the fire, people with actual substantive power to make change. We can deal with the emotions of it and the statements, but feelings are not the ultimate goal here. It's not the ultimate goal to fix people's feelings. The ultimate goal is to break down structures so that they are not an impediment to people of color, to women, to people who are LGBTQ. Let people live. Because if you were going to have me summarize what all Black people want in this predominantly is get out my way and let me live. That's the two things. Don't put hurdles in my way that don't need to be there, and let me live like any other human being. If we could get those two things,
let's do this.
You ain't going to hear much else from us.
Yeah, let's do this. We got Sheryl Swoopes joining us. We're going to talk about the Atlanta Dream owner and what's going on there when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with WNBA three-time champ and Basketball Hall of Famer Sheryl Swoopes right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wrong. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
We all know election day is just around the corner.
All right, y'all. This commercial and then a jingle. One second.
The change. Exercise your right for change on election day. Don't talk about it. Let's be about it. So let's roll to the polls in record numbers, and we can make that change. This message is approved by KYOK 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOKradio.org.
All right, y'all. Right after this.
Oh, getting focused? Getting your to-do list done.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
KYOK 1140 and 92.3.
I'm Ben Tankett, and you are listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all. We're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our Winning Wednesday, and we're not talking about winning games. We're talking about winning in life right now. And joining us to help do that is none other than Basketball Hall of Famer, three-time WNBA champ. It's Sheryl Swoopes. Sheryl, how are you doing today? Now that we got you looking good, got your WNBA shirt on, like that. What's going on with you? Can you hear us,
I'm good.
Sheryl?
How are you guys doing?
We're doing very good.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
I'm in the country, so my Wi-Fi is okay. My Wi-Fi is kind of in and out, so I apologize.
That's okay. We appreciate you making the time. Sheryl, let's just get right to it. Co-owner of the WNBA's Atlanta Dream is a senator who has been given the opportunity to finish out somebody else's term. And she has been very outspoken about a couple of topics that just fly in the face of everything that's going on right now, namely calling Black people who are exercising their Second Amendment rights in the city of Atlanta, calling them a mob because they're running around carrying guns. I don't recall hearing her say that when people were storming state capitals so that they could go outside, get their hair cut, get a burger and fries.
So you want me to address that?
I want you to hit it wherever you want to hit it.
So I started commenting about this about 2 weeks ago, actually. Okay. I saw her interview, I saw her comments where basically she was calling the Black men who were carrying their guns, their Second Amendment rights, where she called them a mob. My first question was exactly what you just said, AJ. I didn't hear you saying those same things when all of these white men were marching into the Capitol carrying their guns, right? There's so many issues I have with her. But bigger than that, my issue is with the league, you know? It's a bad look. And when you look at the league from every single team, the league itself is 80%, 85% Black. The Atlanta Dream, I would say they're about 90% Black. Their starting five is Black. I listened to an interview that Natasha Cloud did this morning, last night on CNN. And I was just like, man, she hit the nail on the head on every topic. The way I look at that is basically, we want you to go and play for us and score buckets and touchdowns and do all of the things that we're paying you to do, but we don't want you to say anything else. You don't really have a voice. So to me, honestly, it's almost like modern day slavery, right? We own you. It's like we own you. And for her to come out and make the statements that she made about Black Lives Matter, sports should remove politics should be removed from sports. No, that's what it is. But then you come back and say, we don't want Black Lives Matter on t-shirts, but possibly they should be wearing a flag. So you say remove politics from sports, but yet you talk about players wearing an American flag.
That's right. She wrote the league office requesting that they do not put Black Lives Matter on the jersey, but they replaced that with the American flag, right behind saying that we need to take politics out of sports. What does she think the American flag represents? Especially right now, it's political.
Well, but and not only that, have you looked at the makeup of your team? Have you looked at the makeup of the league? And let's not even get into everything she did prior to that with insider trading. Like, to me, she's just a bad human all around. And one thing, there are a lot of things that frustrate me, but I've heard a lot of current players speak up. I've heard a lot of former players speak up. I've seen Renee Montgomery, who plays for Atlanta, who's not playing this season. I've seen her speak up. Lasia Clarendon, who used to play for the Dream, speak up. But I haven't seen or heard from any current Atlanta Dream player who is actually playing this year. I haven't heard them speak up. And at some point, as African Americans, not just athletes, as Black people, we have to realize, one, there's strength in numbers, right? But also at some point we have to realize the power that we hold as Black people.
Right.
And it's not about sports. It's not just about sports. It's so much bigger than us being on a basketball court, being on a football field, running, scoring buckets, scoring touchdowns to entertain people, because that's what we're doing. And I personally feel like right now is a great time for athletes to capitalize on who we are as Black athletes, because people are going to watch and people are going to listen. So we can't allow this moment to die down in because of ignorance that other people are doing and saying.
I think you bring up valid points, and I really felt like this was what was happening as we were seeing college players say, we're not going to practice, we're not going to do anything until you pull back some of the lies that you told, let everybody get registered to vote, make sure that we can go vote, and then give us some say in the community that we're operating in. And then when Kyrie and everybody got over 100 NBA, WNBA players on the phone, regardless of what came out of that, the fact that those dialogues were beginning to happen where, hey guys, we got a lot of power here. And if we decide not to play so that we can focus on the movement and things like that, that further solidifies the power. I really felt like we were heading in the right direction, but you brought up an even better point. I don't hear anybody from the Atlanta Dream saying we're not going to play until this lady is gone, or we're not going to play until she at least apologizes for degrading and defaming and just speaking all that racist negativity about people that look like me.
I mean, what she did, in my opinion.
But AJ, I don't even want an apology.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Oh, I was just going to say, in my opinion, it just felt like.
No, go ahead, David.
The disappointment on my end is from also starting at Adam Silver, because people have given Adam Silver so much credit for being a progressive commissioner. And yes, by comparison, he certainly is more progressive than what you get in the NFL or MLB. But the WNBA carries the NBA brand. It is a partner of the NBA. It is a subsidiary of the NBA. Mm-hmm. And for him to be silent on this, when the women of the NBA have never been silent about these issues for their male counterparts, in the league and in Black men in general. The Minnesota Lynx, showed up in solidarity years ago to speak about this, and the police walked off on them. Right. Let's not forget those things, that these Black women, and like she said, it's 83% of the league is Black women, 83%. Right. And then you have your Hispanics and international players mixed in that even more. So like you said, to have that, and then talk about all the other levels of it, where the WNBA has to address, why are there no Black women coaches? Why aren't there enough Black women coaches on staffs? Why are there not enough Black women executives? Where's the transitional programs? You see Swin Cash, who got to be up at the top, and now Swin is working with the Pelicans here in New Orleans. But how many other Swins are there that are getting elevated into those spots? You know what I'm saying? So you can use her as the example, but she's not the norm. And that's the problem, is that you can have men all over the other side, All these are part of the same justice issues. And where is the concrete proposal from these leagues to talk about how they're going to address it? It's got to be more than a press release that says, well, we don't stand by her comments and we don't welcome these things. No, those statements are long overdue. We're past that. We need action. And that's what's disappointing, is that nobody still, NBA or WNBA, has put down an action plan about what they're going to do to address these issues.
Go ahead, Sheryl.
Well, we don't stand by her comments and we don't welcome these things. No, those statements are long overdue. We're past that. We need action. And that's what's disappointing, is that nobody still, NBA or WNBA, has put down an action.
We got a little bit of feedback, but hey, I mean, David, you bring up good points, because I was thinking about that as we drove in today.
Sorry,
Show.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we got
we can hear you, Sheryl. We got a little bit of feedback, but we can hear you. This is not going to change based on statements. I mean, this is not going to change based on singing the Negro national anthem at the beginning of a game. It's not going to change because the NBA and the WNBA allow players to wear social justice patches or words on the backs of their jersey. Those are, man, that's theater. That's flash. That show. It's almost like some marketing person came up with that. What are the concrete, actionable items that are measurable, that are tangible, that we can see, that says you are fully committed to this, number one, and then number two, that you're making a change? The fact that no one, to my knowledge, has even chastised this woman from a league level, that no one has literally said, we're reviewing this to determine if she's violated any of our bylaws, which is what they did with Donald Sterling. I mean, it's just laughable at this point. And like you said, Adam Silver has gotten a pass for far too long. Yeah, he looks good in a suit. Yeah, he's a lot younger than Stern was. But we're not doing fashion shows no more. You're not gonna sell fish dinners and have fashion shows and get us shouting amen, hallelujah, and thank you, Jesus anymore. Not right now. Sheryl, you good? We got you? I love your ceiling fan. And I want that hat. Cat.
Do you want to see if we can do her on?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Am I still here?
Okay.
Am I still
Yeah, you
here?
can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know what's going on. Can you read it?
Sheryl, let's do this. I'm gonna give.
Just have a call. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Wait, because I need to comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a number. 281.
God, this is awful.
Am I still here? Okay. Am I here? Mm-hmm.
281-453-1000.
Okay.
281-453-1000.
You guys got me?
Just call us on that. We got you. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a number.
Okay. Wait.
Yeah, do we have to text it to her? But
yeah. I'm gonna send it to her on her DM. But man, go ahead, David, and talk to us while I'm sending this to her.
I mean, I just think it's unconscionable. You know, if you put the words that Donald Sterling said on tape, the things that finally got him out, because remember, his history was a lot deeper than those words. It just became public, and then the NBA decided, well, we got no choice because the players were talking about boycotting games.
Right.
So it wasn't about the NBA all of a sudden getting a revelation about Donald Sterling. They knew who he was. They knew what he did.
Hold on a second, David. Sheryl, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we got you loud and clear now. No breakup or nothing. We got you loud and clear now.
Okay. Jeez, I'm telling you, being in the country is kind of rough with internet.
Hey, but no, that's all right. That country living is good, clean living. I like it.
I ain't complaining.
Yeah, but so you know, before we broke off, we were talking about not settling for statements. This is not going to be changed based on statements. You can write and say anything. It's not going to change by having patches or slogans on jerseys. That's almost like theatrics. That's media stuff.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Sheryl.
Well, first of all, I could hear everything you guys are saying, so I don't know if you could hear me or not. But AJ, I think you said something about I don't know about an apology. Like I don't even want an apology from her.
Yep.
I don't even think the players do. First of all, the old saying goes, once you show me who you are, I believe you.
Yep.
And so Lasia Clarendon, a player who played for her for 2 or 3 years, actually commented yesterday and said, like, I hate that I ever even entered a foot into your house to come over and have dinner with you, because you were so nice to me and treated all of us very well. But when it really matters and when it really counts, do you truly have our back?
Right.
No, you don't.
Right.
But as long as we're out there, we're running up and down the court for you, we're scoring buckets for you, we're trying to win a championship for you. Oh, these are my players, I support them. But honestly, here's how I feel, and I might be a little different than a lot of people. Am I upset about all the things she's done and said and nothing happened? Absolutely. I was the first player to sign and play in this league, so I take a lot of pride in everything about the league.
Yeah.
And to have someone like her degrade who we are as a race, because that's the way I look at it, is a huge problem. But what I will say is, I'm glad you finally showed your true colors. Now it's up to the league to decide how they're going to handle it. And somebody said to me, well, maybe they haven't done anything because they need another owner. Well, Baron Davis tweeted last night, give me her interest. I'll buy her out.
Yep.
So I don't use that. I don't take that as an excuse, because I think there are people out there who would step up in a heartbeat and say, let me buy the team. I just think right now the league is trying to figure out what is the best way to handle the situation. But I do know the situation has to be handled ASAP.
Yeah. We got Sheryl Swoopes joining us on the phone line here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. David Grubb on video with us as well. And Sheryl, let me ask you this question. I know with Donald Sterling, it was kind of a different situation. Could it be the fact that not only is she just a co-owner of a WNBA team, but she's also a U.S. senator? Could that make them be that much more cautious on how they handle dealing with her?
I mean, it's different from Donald Sterling, but it's not. To me, a racist is a racist. Point blank. Period. I would look at it and say, yeah, they're probably like, let's wait and see what is the best way to handle this. But my mom used to always say, right is right and wrong is wrong. Here's what I would say to the league. If you don't step up and handle it, to me, that's going to cause a lot more problems with the league and your players than you already have.
Yep.
So many players have stepped up and said, we don't want her. She's got to go. She needs to be out. I want to address a couple of things that David mentioned as far as Adam Silver, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know this because I haven't spoken to him or anyone in the league. Part of me thinks that Adam is kind of sitting back, wanting to see how, because this is the first time ever that the WNBA has actually had a commissioner. Every league, it's been a president before, never the title of commissioner. So I kind of think Adam Silver's sitting back saying, let me see how Kathy Engelbert, who is the commissioner, how she's going to handle the situation. But at some point, I do think it's going to get bigger than her, and Adam's going to have to step up and do something. But the other side of that is Adam has his hands full with the NBA starting up, right? I saw he had comments this morning about he's concerned with the players being in the bubble. And the last thing I'll say, and I'll let you ask another question. So to me, if the league, the WNBA, truly wants to show support for Black Lives Matter, support for injustice, support for the 80% Black players that you have in your league, David, I completely agree with you. They have to start involving more former players, who the majority of us are African American, in the league. Whether that's in the front office, a position like Swing Cash has, that's far and few in between, because there's not another Swing Cash in those positions. There are not enough, in my opinion, there are not enough Black coaches in the WNBA, whether that's assistant, head coach, a trainer, working in the front office, working with a team. And to me, it can't just be about words. Yeah, it's nice to say we're going to have these T-shirts that say Black Lives Matter.
Right.
But truly, what is that doing?
Right.
Right? Wearing a T-shirt that says Black Lives Matter, putting it on the court, Black Lives Matter. But when the game is over and they take those T-shirts off and then you go back home, what are you truly doing to show us that our lives really matter?
Yep. Yep. No, Sheryl, I couldn't have said it better. And I want to ask you a question. So, like the NFL, David, the NFL has Troy Vincent, who's kind of, up in the top 3 of ranks of the NFL. Does the NBA or the WNBA have a person like that that's, speaking into the ear of Adam Silver or the new commissioner of the WNBA?
Not to my knowledge. The only thing, honestly, the league doesn't really do anything with former players. I know Phoenix Mercury just hired Chastity Melvin on as an assistant coach because the assistant coach they had decided to step down because she didn't want to take their child into the bubble. But it's usually just the WNBPA that deals with the league. As far as a player, as an individual, no, the league doesn't have that.
Yeah. Go ahead, David. I know you have some questions.
Which I think would be a phenomenal thing if they did something like that.
And Sheryl, I'm not saying this just because you're on the phone and because you're my friend. That to me would have been a commonsensical approach, whether you accepted it or not. If I'm Stern or Silver, I'm approaching Sheryl Swoopes and saying, hey, Sheryl, how can we work together to better the league for everyone? And I'm not just talking about WNBA. I'm talking about NBA as well.
Yeah, and I don't think you're just saying that because you're my friend and we're on the phone. On my part, it's not for lack of trying. Yeah. I will be very honest with you. I've tried for honestly many years to work with the WNBA, whether that was working, at the front office, with the team, on the staff, and nothing. And I'm laughing because honestly, it's very frustrating. And it pisses me off because I think there are so many, and even if it's not me,
right,
there are so many qualified former players who are well educated, well versed, that could only bring something good and something positive to the league. And if you look back when the league first started in '97, a lot of the fans that are still that still follow the WNBA, that are still involved with the WNBA, that still support the WNBA, are fans from back in the day, who still have a relationship or a connection with former players. Not to say they don't have it with the current players, but I think it's or should be a no-brainer to go, and especially with the climate we're in today, right? To go back and talk to some of these former players and say, look, we don't know what it's going to look like, but we want to bring you on for X, Y, and Z. I don't know why that couldn't happen.
Sheryl, I just want to ask you a couple of things real quick. Number one, I've been disheartened because I've been watching the WNBA since its inception. And I don't see the commitment to that history, like you talk about, to keeping the names of Cynthia Cooper, Sheryl Swoopes, Tina Thompson, Tisha Pinachero, all those players that came through the league and did phenomenal things. There's no continuation of that cycle. And here we are almost 25 years into this league, and there's not really this constant awareness of the heritage where we do with men's basketball. And we talk about these every time there's an anniversary. We make sure we involve those players in the discussions. There's that part socially. And then secondly, the part that I look at is the NBA spends $150 million on preparing this bubble in Orlando for the men. And then we see what we're seeing out of the images of what these women are getting at the IMG Academy, who are also professionals, who have had to fight for baseline pay. And now they're being put in conditions that, to me, are not worthy of the both the sacrifice that they are taking, and it is a sacrifice, and the stature of being in what you say, this league is promoting itself as the best professional women's league in the world. Well, then how can you put your players in that circumstance?
So listen, I am never going to judge anyone, period, because that's not my place. Nor am I never going to criticize a player for saying, you know what, I'm going to play in the bubble. Because, and especially on the WNBA side, everybody's situation is different. And especially when you start talking about finances, right? WNBA players don't make the type of money that NBA players, where NBA players can say, I'm not playing this year and financially I'm going to be okay, right? There are some, not all, but I would say the majority of the WNBA players, from a financial standpoint, they need to play this season.
Yeah.
Because if they don't play, they don't make any money. I go back to Natasha Cloud, who, plays for the Mystics. She said, I am not playing, without even knowing if she was going to get her salary or not, right? WNBA said, no, you don't play, you don't get paid. But kudos to Converse, who stepped up and said, we will cover your entire WNBA salary this season for you not playing, right? Who, by the way, she was the first female athlete Converse has signed. But when I look at, let's go back before they even got to Orlando. NBA teams are flying in private jets. WNBA teams are flying commercial. So there's the first problem, right? Is you're putting all these players on commercial flights with Lord knows who's on these flights, if they have the virus or not. That's the first start, right? I don't know. I just think that was so wrong, right? They could have found a way to fly them privately as well.
Right.
So then you get to the bubble, and as Alicia Clark said, and so many other players, now all of their living conditions aren't like that. But my issue, though, is none of the players' living conditions should have been like that.
Right.
You didn't see any NBA players posting anything saying, oh my goodness, look at these living conditions, right? Not a single, and maybe they did, I didn't see it. No. Not a single NBA player posted that. But yet you have WNBA players who they have mouse traps in the laundry room. There are bugs all in the laundry room. And I heard Alicia Clark this morning on First Take say that Brianna Stewart lifted up the mattress and they had traps under the mattress. There are bed bugs. Like, it's an awful situation. But yet you expect these players to come to the bubble and perform at 100% and give everything they have, but yet their living conditions are awful. I can't think of a single coach, anyone at the league office, that would live in those conditions. And I get it, they're working on it and they're trying to change it and they're talking about moving them to a different place. It shouldn't have ever happened.
Right. I mean, somebody was on an advanced team that went down to that place and checked it out. Or if they didn't, then that's the problem right there. Somebody got paid for doing nothing. And I'm sorry, entertainment. And it's a job. I get it. But sports entertainment does not, should not, will not come at that cost. That's still somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, that's somebody's, someone important to somebody else. And just because she might not be important to some fan,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm sorry, WNBA, they got to do better. They got to do better.
And it doesn't, to me, it doesn't even matter if they just drop down from ball.
Somebody dropped the ball, right? Somebody dropped the ball, whether that was somebody at IMG or somebody with the league office. There's no way you're going to ask me to go and live in a bubble for 3 or 4 months and expect me to live in conditions like that. You should have, whoever you hire to do it, they should have walked every inch of those facilities from the rooms, checking under the beds, under the mattresses, the laundry room. It's awful.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh, yeah, by the way, it's not hard technology. I've got friends that are real estate agents now that do virtual tours. All you do is tell you go live. Now take me to the laundry room. All right, pan the room. Got it. That's good. Take me to the kitchen. Okay, pan the room. Got it. Okay, yeah, we're going to do business with you. Or no, that looks a little crazy. We're not going to be able to do business.
Yeah.
And you move on. So somebody other than the players should be suffering, the consequences of not doing the job. And WNBA and NBA have to do better. If you're going to put these people's lives on the line, and that's what we're doing, and saying, oh, it's going to be okay, it's going to be safe, oh, yeah, we're going to pay you some of your money, then they need to take these steps. And we just can't allow it to go unaddressed.
Absolutely. And Alicia Clark said, not all living conditions are like this. And I do believe that. But again, I'll just go back to it and say no one's living conditions should be like that.
If one of them's like that, it's a problem.
They should never be posting videos like that because they should never be in those situations.
Yeah. Go ahead, David.
The best thing to me is that for people who are unaware about the disparities and how the treatment goes, is that you see that, and the players are posting pictures of, they get these cursive print cards from Disney saying this is tonight's menu, and they're giving tours, and they've got double sinks, and they've got king size beds and all those things, 5-star, 4-star hotels at Disney. And you put these women at a high school. That's essentially, IMG Academy is a high school. It's a postgraduate academy or a high school.
Yes, it is.
And so what you've done is our actions show what we prioritize. Our actions show what we care about.
Right.
And so it's clear that if you said we're trying to find a place that's secure and that we can put these women and treat them like high professional level athletes, then you would not. Yeah, there's no way you would say this is good enough. That's beneath. You could even find a college dorm that's better than that. There's independent housing somewhere that you could have rented that was better than that. Somebody who was willing to turn over rental units or something to the league. And you prepare for that. Like you said, you cannot have a walkthrough and see those rooms. Those rooms needed to be cordoned off immediately. We will not let you live in this. And so it shows. And what it means is for all of us. And we keep doing this and saying women's sports are. No, women's sports are sports. And they are workers, just like anybody else. And there's a standard that we're supposed to put people in. And when you're asking people to put the mental tax on themselves, of going into this isolation, when you ask them to put the physical risk of contracting this virus, when you ask them to be isolated, there's just no way you can allow any of this.
There's a lot that goes into that, and I will say kudos to all of them, the men and women, the ones who decided to play and the ones who decided not to play, right? Like I said, everybody's situation is different. But at some point, and I'll go back to this, the women of the WNBA have got to put their foot down and say enough is enough, right? Like, we're not going to come back out here and basically risk our lives, because that's what they're doing.
True.
We're not going to come back out here and risk our lives for you to treat us the way you're treating us. That's just
sure,
I wouldn't do it.
So what if there is the worst case scenario? And I hate even thinking about it, but what if there is a worst case scenario where a player has scarring of their lungs or loses a lung or is permanently injured or loses their life because of it being in this? How then does anybody come back and say that this was worth it?
I'm with you. I try not to. No, I try not to live in the what if or think about the worst, right? But given this climate and with this virus, and I know there are so many people out there who don't think it's real, and to each his own. But studies have shown, I personally know people who have passed away from COVID, who are sick from COVID, who are in the hospital from COVID. There are chances that, no, maybe you're asymptomatic and you don't have it, and or you have it and don't know you have it. There's a player, Asia Durr, with New York. She tested positive on June 8th. but she's not playing because she's still struggling with complications from the virus.
Yeah.
And as you said, to me, the scariest, everything about it is scary, but one of the scariest part is you could contract the virus, be sick from it, come back from it, or at least feel better, but have long-term effects from it and possibly never be the same.
Right.
I don't know. And to me, that's what I look at. And maybe it's because I'm older, right? Like, no, I'm retired, don't play anymore. And I can see where some of the younger ones, because my son's 23. And I have a conversation with him every day where I'm saying, excuse me, sit your ass down. Right? Like, you can't be out there running around thinking you're going to come back home and, come back home to me. So when I look at him and I look at some of the younger players in the WNBA, I get it, right? Like, I can see the excitement, especially for the rookies. Like, man, this is my first season. I'm not going to be able to play. And then there's a possibility of, well, yeah, we're going to play. I can understand them saying, well, I want to play. And there are players who said, I'm willing to take that risk. And I'm never gonna judge somebody one way or the other. Honestly, my prayer for all of them every day is for God to keep them covered and nobody get sick, and let them get through the rest of the season and be healthy and move on. Yeah. But it's got to be better though. It's got the living conditions and some of the food that I've even seen them post. I'm just like it has to be better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I find it amazing that the NBA, WNBA would allow even these things to happen because, with all the energy and all the supposedly behind the scenes preparation that took to get to this point, you would think that, we would see, if anything, maybe one or two of these, not as many as we've seen. Sheryl, we're up against the top of the hour and commercials and stuff. But let me ask you this. For those who are just tuning in, we got Sheryl Swoopes, of course, Basketball Hall of Famer, 3-time WNBA champ, joining us here on the lunch break with myself and David Grubb. Sheryl, what can we do as media members and brothers and concerned people who, just are tired of being just allowing stuff to go on like this? And I'll even throw the co-owner of the Atlanta Dream back in here. What can we do? What should we be doing right now to bring about meaningful change in all of this?
Well, AJ, I think it's about, just you guys as brothers or the media. I think it's all of us as Black people, first of all. We have to stop putting each other down or whatever, right? And start lifting each other up and supporting each other. To me, that's one of the worst things as a Black community we do, is put each other down and not support each other enough. Because I look at the bigger picture, right? And I say, yeah, I'm a former, a former athlete, WNBA player, Hall of Famer, blah, blah, all of those accolades, right? At the end of the day, when I take my uniform off, I'm still Black. I've experienced a lot of the things that other people experience, and people don't know anything about it, where people look at me crazy if I go somewhere where they feel like because I'm Black, I shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. So I just think one of the most important things that we can do right now with the climate we're in is, one, keep fighting, keep pushing, don't get tired of the protesting, the marching. Yeah, those things are important, but at some point, we got to see real change.
Right.
And to me, the only way we're going to see real change is that we continue to fight and support each other and lift each other up and say, I got your back. I look at Bubba Wallace, right? Mm-hmm. NASCAR. Mm-hmm. It would have been very easy for Bubba Wallace to just sit down and never speak up. And him being in the situation he's in with being the only Black man on NASCAR. But Bubba said, you know what? It's bigger than me. There is a problem. The Confederate flag is a problem. And then, I know we got to go. But then the noose, that's a whole nother topic. It's still a noose. I don't care where they found it, what they said, how long it had been there. It's still a noose. It's still a noose, and that's a problem.
Yeah, garage pools ain't never looked like that where I've been. So, and NASCAR themselves said, we checked all our tracks. We checked all our garage stalls. there were only a certain number of them that were tied in knots, and only one of them was tied in a knot like a noose. But yet and still, keeping politics out of sports, the highest political office in the land chose to bring it up again and call it a hoax and demand an apology for a man who, again, wasn't the one that found it, wasn't the one that reported it, and has been very gracious about it, because other folks would have just flat out cut up, but Bubba didn't do that. So, you know, I hear exactly what you're saying, Sheryl.
It's stuff like that where we have to continue to fight and talk about it, and and let Bubba know, Bubba, we hear you, we stand with you, we got your back.
Yeah.
We can't allow other people to tell us what we should and shouldn't do, say, or believe.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. David, I know you got a comment behind that.
I just, I think that there's so many things that we have to continue to fight for. And I think that, like Sheryl said, we can't get fatigued about these things. Right. And the other part is that we have to be able to hold more than one thought at once, because we have too often, and I keep saying this because I feel like if I don't say it, there aren't a lot of voices out there who can say it, is that we cannot make this too often a Black male issue. And we do that a little bit too often.
Right.
And Black women have been at the forefront of this from day one. And I don't say that to earn anybody's points, but I say that because I see the pain that Black women are going through in this and in trying to be heard within this movement. And we have to be especially sensitive, because leaving them out of this, leaving them out of the conversation, this is all part of it. And like we talked about this a long time ago, and Sheryl knows this too. The impact financially on these things are going to impact Black women disproportionately too, on the collegiate level and on the high school level, because those schools are underfunded. Those players come from backgrounds that are hurting. And when they get to these situations, who's going to get their budget decreased? It's going to be women's sports, and disproportionately, it's going to be the track program, the women's basketball team, those type of things. The people who travel the most, and most of those sports are predominantly held by played by Black women.
Hey, do I have time to add something?
Yeah, go ahead, please do.
So, a couple of things. When you talk about collegiate sports, I said this, AJ, I don't know if you remember this on your show or not. I've been saying this for a while now. Until our African American athletes, this is men and women, decide that attending an HBCU is a great idea, I don't think the collegiate sports will ever change, because our Black men and women are continuing to go to PWIs and earn money for them, versus saying, you know what, I am going to be the one to go to an HBCU and completely change that program, turn that program around, and change the outlook on top athletes going to HBCU. And then I look at this situation in Atlanta again. I don't even like saying her name.
Yeah.
But my question is, so if the league doesn't do anything, right? Just talk about it and nothing changes or happens, what are the players willing to do? Because at some point, we have to be willing to be uncomfortable for a minute and put things on the line to see change, to make change. So if the league doesn't do anything about her, what are the players willing to do? To say, no, that's not okay, and we're not going to stand for it. I pose that question because I don't know the answer to it. But at some point, we ourselves, as athletes, former, current, whatever, we have to be willing to put our foot down, make ourselves a little uncomfortable, because we talk about white people having conversations or being uncomfortable. But we also have to be willing to be uncomfortable if we really want to see change and be a part of making that change.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and wrap it up on that note. Sheryl, tell everybody real quickly how they can find you, follow you, and keep up with all the great things you're doing in your awesome life.
Well, so I don't do social media a lot, but I will say this. Both Twitter and Instagram, it's @AirSwoops22. And I would love for people to go check out my website for my nonprofit, Back to Our Roots. It is to educate, empower our African American youth about their ancestral heritage. There's a lot of information on the website, and the website is B as in boy, BTOR22.com. And social media is at AirSwoops22.
All right. All right. Y'all stay top of the hour. We'll be right back.
Tell Sheryl I want her on my show. Give me her information because I'd love to extend that conversation on my pod.
Are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
All right, I had to hit that top of the hour so I don't get in trouble here at the station. But Sheryl, do me a favor. Give us that website one more time because that's important for your foundation.
It's BTOR. B as in boy, T as in Tom, O as in Oscar, R as in Robert, the number 22.
Back to Our Roots is what it stands for. 22.com.
And Sheryl, I hope we can connect because on my I'm restarting my show as a podcast, and I would love to go more in depth with these things with you. Won't have any commercial interruptions, and you can speak as freely as you want. And I would love to have that conversation with you. So I hope we can connect offline and do that soon.
No, for sure. AJ, I'm going to DM you my cell number, so you'll have it.
Okay, I appreciate it. Sheryl, thank you.
Guys.
All right.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, y'all. Let me tell you, that right there was just solid gold. I want to appreciate my sister, my friend, and just one of the best to ever lace it up, and that's Sheryl Swoopes. Man, bruh, she went in. I mean, and that's what I'm talking about, man. That level of understanding, because she's been there from the high school to the college to the very first player signed in the WNBA. And the league, after all these years, has never reached out and said, and she's reached out to them, and they've never reached back to say, you know what, we can glean from you. We need you. If nothing else, you're a good, mentor or guide to these, young ladies coming in the league. And I'm gonna even go there deeper. I mean, she's got value for the NBA players as well. Becky Hammond ain't the only one that can be down on that court helping, these young men understand the game and understand life in general, man. I feel like these are the things that are more meaningful than painting Black Lives Matter on the side of the court and allowing. I can't get over that part. It's like the NCAA allowing players to make money off their own image, name, and likeness. You're allowing me to pick what my social justice cause is based on the list that you gave me. No, bro, that's more of you don't understand the problem. That's more of you don't understand how much of a part of the problem you are.
Yeah, and you look at Sheryl's story from the beginning. I mean, you go to Texas Tech, and no one had heard of Texas Tech as a women's basketball program.
Right.
But I have certainly been to Lubbock, and I know what West Texas can be like. We know what Texas can be like in general. And for her to go out there and have to establish herself there, establish that program there, make it into a championship program, and to do it and knowing what she faced, knowing what kind of things that she had to deal with as a Black person and as a woman. Then, like you said, to get to the next level, to be the face of the WNBA and deal with all the things that she had to deal with in a fledgling league when people were not willing to pay them what they were getting overseas, but they wanted to give them that exposure. They lived on her back for that. When the '96 Olympics, when the U.S. used Sheryl and Lisa Leslie and all, Teaspoon and Ruthie Boulder Holyfield, all those women, and use them to sell Americana. And then we turn our backs on them when they're not doing that for us. Same with the U.S. women's national team in soccer. Same with all these things. So for them to have these stories in the midst of this and to see it still happening in the midst of this and us not standing up and consistently being vocal about it, that's on us too. And we cannot let the pressure go. We cannot say, okay, that's enough. We can't stop until it's finished. And that means we have to, like she said, we have to be uncomfortable, because that means continuing to distance yourself from maybe things that you cared about before, or distance yourself from people who you thought were on your side, or distance yourself from institutions that you thought were on your side. Those are uncomfortable things, sacrificing money, sacrificing opportunities potentially. And she's not the only one who should be doing it. It's every one of us, because this is a fight. It is not a negotiation. It is a literal fight. And this may not be with the hands and it may not be with guns, but we got to be out there consistent in moving this forward. Like I said, we ain't taking any steps back.
Right. Now, David, you're preaching it, man, because at the end of the day, this is not I'm not asking you for permission. I'd like your buy-in. I'd like your agreement. I would like your support. But at the end of the day, this is what it's going to be. Period, point blank, end of discussion. And, that's where I got to get and I'm calling his name because, I love him, not because I'm at odds with him. But that's why I got to get the Todd Malcolms to understand. That's why I got to get some of the other folks that, call themselves my friend to understand. You're not setting this agenda. You're not changing the agenda. You're not changing the focus. You're not adding one dot, one period, one comma, one cross T, one dotted I. You're not doing that. You can get in the car, but you're not driving, and you're certainly not giving directions. And folks got to understand that. And somebody asked me, well, why is that, AJ? Because you didn't care enough to do it before now. And you had an opportunity to do it before now. You could have went to your friends when they were telling you the little, racial jokes when I was nowhere around behind my back and said, yo, man, that ain't cool. You could have stopped it then. But because you didn't, you don't get to stop it now that it's out of your control. And that's the end of discussion. I'm sorry, you being white and comfortable should not be bothered by me being tired of being uncomfortable being black. Period.
Yeah, and it's, did you say anything all those times that you were in your office and you looked around and it was monochromatic? Did you ever say anything? Did you, when you were an executive, did you ever advocate for your company to go out of its normal circle in recruitment and go to HBCUs and find talented people to work in those companies? Did you ever do anything like that? Because if you didn't, you never were about this. And the thing is, my daddy told me this too when I was very young. Don't make me ask for what's mine. Exactly. Don't make me ask for what's mine. If it's mine, it's mine. And I should never have to go find you to get what's mine. And that's the problem, is that we are still trying to ask. And now, not asking anymore. I'm going to take what's mine. And then we're going to do it the right way. But we're not going to do it in an impatient way. We're not going to do it in a slow way. We're not going to do it on your timetable. Because like you said, you have 401 years to correct this. 401. And now all of a sudden you got ideas, and now you're going to say what should and shouldn't be on our agenda. We didn't let men set the women's suffrage agenda. We don't let straight folks set the LGBTQ agenda. We don't let white folks set the black person's agenda, because these are our issues and we're going to fight for them.
Man, David, it's just that real. And again, with the folks who want to do the whole, oh God, here we go again. Can't y'all keep your politics out of sports? Listen, dial up 1600 Washington Avenue and fight that fight with him. Fight that fight with him. Fight that fight with Mitch McConnell when he called the commissioner of Major League Baseball and said, hey, any chance we're going to get baseball back? They can put politics in sports anytime they feel like it, and folks won't say a word. But as soon as I say Black Lives Matter, and we're tired of just performing and not owning, all of a sudden we get the hard eyeball rolls and we're putting politics in sports. You no longer have the convenience of dictating when it is and when it is not political. If it affects me or anybody that looks like me or my children or my grandchildren, I'm telling you now, doggone it, I'm putting whatever has to be in sports to let you know, timeout, day over, game over. It's just the way it is.
And the fact that you think people asking for their basic human rights is political, then that's on you too.
Well, that's your problem.
And so I'm not concerned as to whether how you feel about that, because those players, are carrying their things with them. We all carry our issues to the workplace. We all bring our lives to our workplace. You don't divorce them. You bring them in there with you each and every day. And those players are black 24 hours a day. And you don't get no rest from that. There's never a moment when you get to not be black. Even in your own home, you know you are consistently aware of your blackness. And that is not, something that you should have to live with, that I'm aware, that I have to be made aware of it constantly. That otherization. I can't just exist. And like I said, the two simple things is get out of my way and let me live. That's all. Get out my way and let me live. And if you can't see the impediments, that's because you choose not to. It's because you didn't read your history. It's because you don't know what's going on in this country and didn't know what has gone on in this country. And you've chosen that. You've chosen that path.
That's it. Your silence was a choice. You don't get a voice now. Your silence was a choice. You were silent when I needed you the most. Don't be vocal now. You cannot, will not, under any circumstances, dictate what's important in this movement now. And this is a movement. This is not a moment. We got to take a break. But when we come back, I want to get into Pat Mahomes, because Valencia and I, brought something up yesterday. $503 million, but certain things just don't change. We'll do that next. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint at CrescentCitySports.com, joining us right here. We just had NBA basketball Hall of Famer Sheryl Swoopes. And I got to correct myself, not 3-time, but 4-time WNBA champ. And I apologize. I'm going to have to let her know. I'm sorry. That was my miss. I lost count. And I was here for them all. So we'll be right back with more right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've been from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816. If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-961-2730. 800-961-2730. That's 800-961-2730.
I'm Linda J. We all know Election Day is just around the corner. We want change. We need change. We can be the change. Exercise your right for change on Election Day. Don't talk about it. Let's be about it. So let's roll to the polls in record numbers and we can make that change. This message is approved by KYOK 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOKradio.org.
Having trouble getting focus? Getting your to-do list turned on?
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
KYOK 1140 and 92.3.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
It's life-changing.
It's called to inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK. 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
Be sure
to tune in to Motivational Thursdays on Shiloh Radio, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., where you will be encouraged, inspired, and ignited on the legendary KYOK 1140 a.m. and the all-new 92.3 FM.
This is Brian Courtney Wilson, and you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, got my brother David Grubb. I did send a request to Kelsey to see if she could join us in the second hour. I don't know if she was able to get the message, but if she jumps on, we'll just turn it on up a little bit higher. But I told you I had a surprise for you today. How'd I do?
That's the second time I got to talk to Sheryl, both on this show. And I just think, again, she is a historic figure for so many reasons. You know what I mean? Just like when you talk about the most important figures in women's basketball,
yeah,
she's in that top 5 no matter what. You can't knock her out of that, because I think that was the shift. Her at Texas Tech was the shift when people actually started saying, "Oh, she's just a ball player." You know what I'm saying? Like it went from you kind of had that conversation, but Sheryl Miller played in a time when we really didn't see women's basketball that much,
right?
But the people who know. But with Sheryl, Sheryl Swoopes was in that place where the NCAA tournament, the focus was on her, and she had one of those like Bill Bradley, Glenn Rice NCAA tournaments where you just controlled it. No one could stop you. Danny and the Miracles type thing. And that just carried over for her to have her get those shout outs from Michael Jordan at the time. To get shout outs, she was really the first women's star that got validated on the larger scale. So anytime talking to her and her experience as a coach, as a player, as a person, it's always valuable.
Yeah. Real quick, if we had to do a WNBA Mount Rushmore, who'd be on it for you?
Well, you got to put Cynthia Cooper, Sheryl, Taurasi. Okay. I think Taurasi got a good stake at maybe being the greatest player ever in that group. And then we talk about just WNBA, right?
Right.
So then I'd probably say the fourth. You could talk about Maya Moore. I think Maya Moore, as a player, proved everything she ever had to prove on the court, and then as a human being, she's doing even more. So yeah, I would think those would be my 4.
So I would go Cooper, Swoopes, Lisa Leslie, and that fourth one would I give it to Taurasi just because of but there's so many others that would have a legitimate. Go ahead.
Look, 4 is always it's one thing to have a Mount Rushmore of presidents. We ain't have a 45. You're talking about in percent of your total. You got more than 45 players, every year. So it is impossible to distill greatness down in any sport. When we do Mount Rushmores, you are inevitably leaving out tons of people for consideration. And so,
and that's why I say just off the top of my head, without thinking deep into it, those are the names that come up for me. But I got to tell you, man, Teaspoon and what she meant to the league, even though she didn't have the longevity in the career, Lobo, even though she didn't have a longevity in the career, man, she literally was the face of the league until Houston started winning them championships, those chips, and then it was all about them. But man, I again, they got to get that right. They got to get that right in the WNBA with the Atlanta Dream. Yesterday or day before yesterday, Pat Mahomes ended up signing the richest sports contract ever, 10 years. $503 million, 477 of that connected to guarantees. And, Valencia King, young lady, 27, 28 years old, said it best. He go outside after a game and he's still a black man. And I know that area up there in Kansas City, Missouri side, Kansas side. There's some areas that they might know who you are, but that still will make them even more want to put you in your place. And it doesn't matter how much money we make. It doesn't matter how high we get up the proverbial totem pole. Listen, we're still black. And on any given day, somebody can say, I want to remind you that you are just black and nothing more.
Well, first, let's be real about Pat Mahomes' contract. It ain't $503 million. That's not what it is. It's the real guarantees are closer to $160 million. Now,
right.
In the
NFL,
NFL,
like 141 and a half if he gets injured.
And then every year it's a year-to-year rollover. That money only comes if they keep him on the roster. There is a good insurance policy for him if he gets injured, which would bring that money up higher to, I think, somewhere around $200 and something million. But he only gets the 503, if the Chiefs keep him that long. Now, I see why it was done. I get the deal, why it makes sense for Mahomes at this stage, because you got a CBA coming up very soon. And the last time the CBA was done, when we talk about the Sam Bradford deal, when they eliminated bonus babies for quarterbacks so that they weren't coming out, there's going to be a readjustment because I don't think NFL owners want to keep paying quarterbacks $40 million. I don't think, we know that the fight is always for less salary for the owner's side. And they've got 53 guys that they're talking about. They're going to add games. They're thinking about adding players to rosters because of that.
Right.
So do you think that they want to be paying guys $40 million? No, they don't. So I think Mahomes is saying, I'm going to get ahead of this train before they renegotiate, before they lower the salary cap, and I'm going to get my guarantee because the guarantee is what you're banking on. So when you look at other guys around the league, and I got asked this yesterday on a podcast, well, what other quarterbacks around the league do you see potentially getting that money? And I say, none of them have the situation that Mahomes is in.
Right.
His entire skills position group outside of Travis Kelce is under the age of 25.
Yep.
So you are investing in guys who are in their prime. You also know that most quarterbacks win their Super Bowls in their careers before they turn 30.
Yep.
So you got Mahomes at 24, about to turn 25. You have access to those 5 prime years. And then after that, if he shows any decline, I can get rid of him. And I paid for what his value was. So
David, stay right there. Let me do a quick commercial. We'll come right back with more right after this.
But you don't want to visit the pharmacy. What do? Call US Med for home delivery of your supplies.
I got this one more in a jingle.
And you're worried about going to a crowded pharmacy, pick up the phone in the safety and comfort of your home and let US Med deliver them to you with free shipping. And now if you test your blood sugar 4 more times a day and inject insulin 3 or more times a day, you may qualify to get a new continuous glucose monitor at little or no cost, which may eliminate the pain of pricking your fingers and helps you make smarter diabetes decisions. Plus, we'll send you a 90-day supply and bill your insurance company for you. Get some peace of mind. Call US Med today. 800-417-0851. 800-417-0851. That's 800-417-0851. How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill. 800-712-8044. 800-712-8044. 800-712-8044. That's 800-712-8044.
Having trouble getting focused? Getting your to-do list turned on?
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
KYOK 1140 at 92.3.
Jonathan Joseph with the Houston Texans.
I love having that. Jonathan Joseph with the Houston Texans. I love having that, man. I love having that. Who's Jonathan Joseph even with now? I don't think I know. Let me look that up. Jonathan, well, I want to say Buffalo. Jonathan Joseph is now is now with Tennessee.
So you'll see him.
Now with Tennessee.
You'll see him.
Yeah, twice. And if he comes back like Kareem Jackson did when he came back with Denver, it could be ugly.
Eat them dubs. Eat them dubs.
It could be ugly. But anyway, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writes for CrescentCitySports.com, joining me on our Winning Wednesday. Been a good show already, man. It feels like it's flying by. But we were talking about Pat Mahomes' contract and, what it is, what it isn't. And again, man, Pat Mahomes, bro, got all that money in the bank and still don't forget who you are and where you came from, man. And, David, let me ask you this. One day you get the NFL team agree to richest contract on paper.
Yeah,
and then
I think real dollar wise, for the Yankees, Giancarlo Stanton is still the gold standard because he's 300. His was 350 or 400 million guaranteed.
So one of the richest contracts on paper. Mm-hmm. And then the day after that, you got the rest of the NBA owners telling the NFL Players Association, we're going to hold 35% of the player's salary to kind of help offset some of these expenses we're going to have because we're not going to make all the money we want to make due to either having no fans or fewer fans in the stadiums for 2021. Huh? What?
Okay, first, did we not talk about the fact that NFL teams do not get a significant portion of their revenue from gates? They don't. They just don't. The TV money is the driver. The government subsidies are huge for them. TV money is a smaller percentage for them than they want to talk about. And we also know the owners will never open their books and tell you how many revenue streams they truly do have. They won't do it.
Right.
It's unconscionable for you to ever put your employees' money in escrow. It's unconscionable.
Yeah.
Again, I learned so many things from my dad because he is a small business owner himself. Yep. And we had this conversation on the phone the other day because, I go to him when I'm talking about my plans for building myself. I said, Dad, look, give me your advice. And one of the things he taught me too was I don't eat until my people eat. They put their trust in me to pay them. They did their work. I have to be sure that they got theirs before I get mine.
Yep.
And the NFL owners are looking at that in the exact opposite. I get mine, then you get yours. And they want their lion's share now. No, if we keep saying business owners take the risk, this is the risk of owning a business. There will be years when your money is down, but you got to pay the people you owe money to. So either you pay the money, hey, you seen Goodfellas. You know what I'm saying? The bar ain't making as much money. Pay me. You had a bad month.
Yep.
Pay me. Those things don't matter. The money is due when the money is due. It's not the player's problem. They show up. Pay me.
Yep. That's the part that keeps blowing my mind. How owners just feel so comfortable thinking that the players, and I'm not talking about just NFL. I'm crossing all sports lines. Feeling like the payers have to subsidize their shortfalls.
Right.
I don't understand that. You still gonna pay all your electric bill. You still gonna pay all your water bill, but you can't pay all of your salaries. I don't understand that. It sounds like to me you're not ready to be in business if you can't pay all your salaries.
How do you not have that carryover? What have you been doing as a league? You telling me none of these people have savings? You telling me that they only operate from the yearly income that they make? If that's the case, then the league is built on a house of cards. And we know that that's not true. We're talking about a $16 billion industry annually. So if that's the case, and they're trying to make it up to $30 billion over the next 5 to 10 years, then if that's the case, how do you not have it? $1 billion is going to cover plenty in just one. And they're not going to lose $16 billion this year. That's just impossible. So they've been making money. They have money. They just don't want to give it to the players. And it's just consistent with what we see economically in this country. Large companies continue to benefit. We see it in the small business loan supposed program that was, and how much went to large companies. And are you going to see small businesses? Are you going to see the people that we're always talking about, the essential workers that the government is always praising, but you won't put no money in their pockets? And these billionaires don't want to put money in their employees' pockets. Walmart, all these companies, multi-billionaires who will never spend all the money they have, and they can't pay their employees or they want to fire them. No, we cannot allow this. That's economic injustice. And that's something we're fighting against too. And those players need to not allow that to happen at all. If they say they're going to hold your money, you better not show up. You better not.
That's where we're going. David Grubb, CrescentCitySports.com, Hard in the Paint here on Winning Wednesday. That's where I was going next. Where do you see this going? We saw baseball play this back and forth thing. And then Rob Manfred said the inside stuff outside, we were never going to agree to anything other than what we put in place. Where do you see this going with the NFL?
It's just continues to be a bad faith system between the NFL and the NFLPA. And DeMaurice Smith has not shown the spine to stand up to Roger Goodell ever. Where's DeMaurice Smith? Where is DeMaurice Smith? Where is he publicly? What has he said about any of this? You have allowed the NFL to dictate the narrative since he became the head of the NFLPA. He has looked ineffective publicly and he's been ineffective privately. So if I'm the players, the first thing you got to do is get DeMaurice Smith out of there and find somebody who's really on your side, somebody who's going to not be afraid to rattle cages and make people upset. And until that happens, you're going to have a disunified players union. And the other part of it too is the NFL's biggest problem is that its most high profile players are predominantly white men who will not speak up about these issues because their financial futures are secure. Quarterbacks ain't hurting. And mediocre quarterbacks really ain't hurting, getting $15 million to back up people when Cam Newton getting really 2 and Jameis Winston is out here getting 1. So they have nothing. They're not going to argue because even if they lose, if they put their little money, they're still making more than the rank and file. They don't view it as a loss. The black folks have to view it as we are the driver. We are the driver. Take us out of this. And what game do you have? Who are they throwing to? Who's blocking? Who's tackling? Who's doing those things? So you take all those black players out, you start exerting your the biggest power you have is the availability of your skill.
Yeah. You know, that was the conversation that got started where and I can't change it now. It's in my DNA. Your boy, where he almost got beat up in the studio today because even the host of the show was ready to do him in, and that dude's a good 6'6", 280, 290. So I hope he got out there safely. We ought to do a wellness check on him, make sure he's all right. If the players say enough is enough and get really serious about starting their own league, and I mean serious about it. I'm not talking about AAF, XFL. I'm not talking about one of these developmental leagues or anything like that. But I'm literally talking about, whether it be basketball, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Steph Curry. They all say, listen, we're going to build this model ourselves. We're going to own it. We're going to fund it. And we're going to go to a TV network or a platform, a digital platform, and say for 2 years, we want to do it at this level. But at that, we want to be paid just like the other professional league out there, NBA, WNBA, NFL, you name it. How long would it take for a league like that to really be formidable? Not on the level of an AAF or XFL, but formidable.
Look, the first thing is, it's very easy to start a league. It's not really that complicated. And the main thing is, like you said, finding that TV partner. There are a number of people who do not care, a number of stations and outlets that would be happy to have NBA or NBA level basketball back on. NBC has been shut out of basketball on the collegiate and the pro level for a very long time.
Right.
And they would love to get it back. I guarantee you.
They're out there. All they have. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, James Harden sitting in front of me saying, "We got a league, put it on." Yeah.
They could put together, because again, we know where that players' geography no longer matters. NBC also owns Hulu. So Hulu becomes another outlet for that league on demand to send stuff out. Those local networks, players don't need a Fox Sports and all that stuff. They don't need that. Their broadcasters will be with their partners that they've established. And then what do you do then? Now you have power over who's telling the stories, who's reporting, who are you giving credentials to? We demand that the newspapers have to change, and ESPN has to change in who they send to these places, because the players are now on a level. It is no longer one person at the top or these group of people who have an interest other than the players at the forefront. They could do it. It is not nearly the challenge that it was 30 years ago or when the ABA first started. Because the ABA couldn't get TV. That was the thing. The ABA could not get TV. And no one was, and the NBA was struggling to get TV. So if you're not in that situation anymore.
Your boy couldn't understand that. He couldn't understand that at all. Let me take a caller real quick. Hello, you live on the lunch break. Who's this?
AJ, it's Todd.
What's up, man? You try to come and get these paws put on you? What's up?
And when I call in, I always stir things up. I always have people get mad at me.
All right, come get it then.
Let me ask you a question, AJ. Why does there have to be another league? And let me give more context.
Okay.
Do the black players in the NBA, do they have a big issue with Adam Silver in the current NBA? Why not just make what we got with the history of the NBA better? Because if you create a new league, it's hard to compare legacies of how great players were, because now it's going to get complicated. It's be like, well, Jordan, LeBron, they were in the NBA, but now there's this other league over here. So do the black players in the NBA, do they have an issue with the current NBA? Is there some big underlying issues where they feel like they need to create their own team?
So first of all, it's not just NBA. It's NFL. It's NBA. It's baseball. It's pro sports. Number one. Number two, we're talking about ownership and dealing with whatever the current owners say, as if that's the only option that anybody has, black, white, anybody has. For an owner to come and say, I got to hold 35% of your money in escrow because, let me fill in the part that they're not going to say, I don't want to make less money than what I'm used to making. So I'm going to hold your money up until I can stay at the level that my family and I are comfortable at being. Well, you got a couple of choices. You can either say, okay, or you can fight against that, or you can say, you know what, I tell you what, I'm good. I'm just going to get with my boys and we're going to start our own and just show you that we, the product, are more valuable than you, the owner. What we could have is a fair partnership, but because you're not treating me like a partner, you treat me like I'm a commodity. I want to just go ahead and do it the way I know it should and could be done. And if they can get 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other people on whatever sport level, it's not NBA. I'm talking about if football players did it, if baseball players did it. What is wrong with that? Why does that have to be such a bad thing? And oh yeah, by the way, the existing establishment, the ownership in all these other leagues, they're not going to change. If a black man or black woman bought a team tomorrow in any one of the leagues, it will not change the overall behavior of that league.
So AJ, are you talking about a player-owned, player-run league? Is that what you're envisioning?
What I'm thinking, what I've said before is a partnership level league. You have business interests that want to work with the players. You have the players at the table rather than being employees of the league. They are partners within the league. And that is a different structure than what you have now. Because like I said, the owner property dynamic, nobody should be treated like that as an employee. And let's say this, the most American thing we always say is competition.
Right.
So if the NBA, if players start siphoning off and saying we can compete and create something our own, that's how you force your competitor to adjust. If the NBA wants to compete, then they would have to adjust. Because it didn't destroy the legacy of Lance Allworth as a wide receiver because he didn't play much in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Those things don't kill people. Darryl LaMonica spent most of his career in the AFL. Didn't kill his career. You know what I'm saying? So
Dr. J will always be one of the greatest of all time.
Joe Namath's prime is in the AFL. That's where he built his legacy, is in the AFL. So talent, legacy follows what you accomplish. And the best of Dr. J was in the ABA. Moses Malone came on the scene, and anybody who Moses Malone conquered the ABA and he conquered the NBA. Spencer Haywood. There's David Thompson. All those players, their legacies were not affected because they spent the first parts of their careers in the ABA. We still know that they're great players. So I think the quality of the play is ultimately going to be determined. The league doesn't matter. Remember, it's not the NFL Hall of Fame. It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. Leagues come and go. There was the NBL before there was the NBA. There was the ABL before there was the NBA. So leagues have been here and they have gone. We still know about the Negro leagues, and they've been gone for a very long time. Josh Gibson's legacy is not dead. Cool Papa Bell's legacy is not dead. Legacy is not something that players get to decide. It's what the culture decides. Who do we value and how do we value them? So I think if your product is good, I don't see a problem with competition. If I don't want to eat McDonald's, I should have the choice to get some Taco Bell. And I'm just using that as the lowest common denominator, but choice is not a bad thing.
All right, so let me play devil's advocate. The one point you made, David, if you don't mind, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You said Pro Football Hall of Fame, right?
Yep.
So you got a CFL league, Canadian Football League, right?
Yes.
Flutie was a beast in that, right?
Yes.
Flutie is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
David, Todd, you know whose show this is. That's a whole nother country, Todd. Come on, man.
No. But he said
they don't consider the CFL for the pro. It's the American. It's in America.
There are people that never played in the NFL that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because they played in this country. We're not talking about the CFL. Stay right there, man. I got to take a break. Y'all stay right there. We'll be right back with more right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
Well, you was splitting the hell out of that hair.
It's called To Inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK, 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. That's 800-308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? Quick Cash Offer can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents and risking your safety by showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your home to foreclosure. If you have any equity in your home, we will buy it and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call Quick Cash Offer now before the economy gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just don't want to get the cash you need today.
800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. That's 800-780-1431.
Hey, this is Tori and Terry, and we're with a new show on the legendary KYOK called Marriage Talks with Tori and Terry.
Yes, that's Saturdays at 1 p.m. Marriage Talk with us. You can call in and talk with us about your marriage questions, engagement, relationship questions. We're here to assist you. Saturdays at 1 p.m.
And that's on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM.
Talk to you then.
Hey, what's going on? This is Lecrae, and right now you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our Winning Wednesday. We got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com. Got Todd Malcolm, one of our longtime faithful listeners, on the phone. But Todd, again, man, the Pro Football Hall of Fame here in the United States only deals with people that played football professionally in the United States. It doesn't include Canadian players.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
No, the basketball Hall of Fame has been international.
Yeah. Now we good.
Yeah, so no, I didn't know that. So when David brought that point up, he said pro basketball, like I was thinking, like, you know, in pro basketball, take like Yao Ming, right? You know, the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, if someone had a career like Yao Ming in China then with the Rockets, I didn't know if they were just taking your career here in the United States or if they were taking pro basketball anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame is a little different. You can get in as a contributor to the sport of basketball. You can get in as a humanitarian. There's
just do international play.
You go on, international.
Like a guy like Oscar
go on their
Schmidt.
website and look at their criteria and some of their different categories. It's pretty interesting. I had to find it out myself, but it's a little different than some of the other Hall of Fame.
You think about how many players in basketball never had the opportunity, like the guy who's most prominent to me is like an Oscar Schmidt from Brazil, who went to the Olympics consistently and set every international record in scoring pretty much, but his entire career was spent playing international ball. And there are a lot of those types of guys who just never came over because there wasn't that exchange. You think about, again, an Arvydas Sabonis, who the overwhelming majority of his career was played in Europe, and he had his end career at the NBA. There's still that he contributed to the overall game of basketball. And there should be. I've said it, there should be an NBA Hall of Fame because it is different than the overall game of basketball. But yes, I mean, it's just different. It's just different. And legacies are preserved how they're preserved. There's a different place for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, that's interesting. I wanted to ask because I hadn't really, thought about the NBA, a new league, kind of off that. But man, that'd be something if it happened. But no, I just didn't really understand the dynamic. I didn't know if the players weren't happy or how unhappy with the current setup to actually kind of try to make that happen.
Yeah, and again, it's not just one sport specific. It's literally about about ownership as opposed to just always being looked at as a player. I mean, you know, you've heard it said, Todd, if these guys didn't have the NBA or the NFL, you know, they would be bagging my groceries, or, you know, they would be handing me my fries out the window. And you know, again, bro, with the climate the way it is right now, I'm gonna just call it what it is. That's one of the most racist, you know, just dumbest comments that you can make. That's all a person can do is dribble a basketball, catch or throw a basketball, or hit or catch a baseball. And it's just ignorant. It's racist. It's bigotry.
Yeah, no, and like I said, man, if that's, you know, I'm all for change, and I'm all for adaptation, and, you know, if there's something else better that serves the athletes, the main event, you know, I've never paid a ticket to go to a game to see an owner there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Of the game. I'm going to watch the players,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
One thing I thought Sheryl Swoopes said that was key is when she was talking about, tell me if I misunderstood, she was talking about the players have to get uncomfortable for a minute, right?
Yep.
So was she talking about players, they really got to bond, you know, kind of going together, you know, and do something. I don't know if she was talking about a boycott or sitting out, or, you know, I know in the NFL, whenever that CBA has come out, the players have always, tell me if I'm wrong, have they caved at the end, you know, for whatever reason, and that's why the owners have always got the upper hand of those deals?
I don't know if they caved at the end is the right comment. Go ahead, David.
The NFL has a different dynamic because it's so large. The body is so large of players that it is a lot harder for them to come together as a group. Again, I tell the story of this all the time, that Marvin Miller, who revolutionized sports unions, was offered a job to take over the NFLPA, and he said he wouldn't do it because he couldn't get unity the way the NFL has structured it on purpose to create a tier system and have players competing basically against each other for money. So when you do that, yeah, the main thing I think for players is any type of ownership, any type of starting a business, you're going to suffer in the short term. That's just a fact. I mean, me at AJ, no, if you starting up a radio show, I was brokering mine. I had to find that money, and whatever I lost was on me. There is a short-term loss, but you are betting on the growth in the long run. I don't even think the short-term hit would be that long, because Nike is going to follow LeBron. Nike ain't worried about the NBA in particular. That's just a platform. If there's another viable platform, the money will follow the viable platform. It does not have to necessarily stick with one brand forever.
Yeah, and Todd, hold tight for a second. David, that's where your boy couldn't understand that. I want to know who's funding this league. Bro, we don't owe you no explanation. We don't have to tell you. Do we know who's funding the NFL? Like you say, people think that it comes from the gate. They think it comes from this, that, and the other. We haven't seen their books. We don't know. You know, Russia could be funding the NFL for all we know. We don't know. So you know, people with this feeling of entitlement that, you know, if black or minority players go out and do something, they got to understand it before they can believe whether or not it'll be sufficient and sustainable and all that. Hey, no, you don't. I'm sorry. There are times when I don't let this hand know what this hand is doing, and you ain't neither one of them. So go ahead, Todd. Welcome back.
Man, you know, one thing I love about listening to your show is you and David both give me things to think about that I would never even have thought of on my own, you know, so.
And Todd, let me say this, because, you know, there are a lot of people that feel some kind of way about you. That's one of the things that I love about you. You're trying to understand this, even if it's hard for you to understand. And I don't have a problem, you know, when it's that way. But when it's just deflection and, you know, like the little kid that says, why, no matter what answer you give, I don't waste my time with that. But Todd, I can say you are legit when you say you're trying to understand. And when you get something that's different, that makes sense to you, you'll chew on it, you'll hang on to it. So I appreciate and respect that about you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, AJ. Hey, thanks for the time, David. Hey, always good hearing your points on stuff. You guys have a good rest of your day, okay?
All right, bro. You too, man.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, man. Now, and I mean that about Todd. I ain't just saying it. Todd is a good person like that. Keith Hennig is a definitely good person like that. And we got a lot of other people that don't ever call in I might get a text message and they might just simply say, hey, don't say my name. But man, when you said this, it really made me think. And man, in fact, one of the first comments I got on this show, a guy was driving in his truck up in Conroe with his wife, and he was ready to blast me. And man, he went in, and it took me to read down to the bottom of the letter where he finally said, but when you said this, my wife said, now why do you have a problem with that? And this guy listens to this day. He'll just send me a message every now and then, and he'll say, hey, I'm listening, and you're still doing it. So, bro, like I said, we've got to be the voice of this thing. If we don't, there's very few other stations down the dial that will be.
And if we don't give it to a straight no chaser, if we try to make it palatable for people and easy for them to digest, then we mute the point. Like I said, this is all has to be hard. It all has to be hard. And listening to it, if you haven't heard this perspective, if you don't understand that perspective, has to be hard for you. That's growth. Growth only comes through struggle and pain. So, I mean, it's just, that's the part that we try to be, is authentic and honest, because if we're not, we're doing people like Keith or Todd a disservice.
Yeah. Hey, man, but you know what? I also thought about this. We're celebrating 100 years of the Negro League. Negro League ended in what, the 60s? But think about
the last ones were, because I think Hank Aaron's group, so we're talking about 50s, is Hank Aaron, Willie Mays were like the last few guys to get pulled out. So yeah, early 50s is when it really started to break down. But remember, who were the owners? You had a number of white owners, but you also had people like Bill Bojangles Robinson owning the black Yankees. You had black owners at the table. And again, we talked about a cooperative system to keep that league going. If you had that now, if you had a situation where you had guys as good as those players that we've talked about, and they had their own venues, like I said, the world this country has plenty of places to play games. There is no shortage.
The history.
Games.
You know the history as well as anybody, man. Some of those Negro League games were as well as attended as some of the PWI games back in those days, because folks knew where the talent was. Folks knew where the excitement was. Folks knew that they were going to get some real good baseball entertainment and excitement at those games. Translate that into today. Translate that into if somebody just put a different product. There's a reason why the USFL got killed. That thing was legit. That thing was on its way. And look at the infiltrator that they had to send in to kill it. Look at what was going on with the ABA. If that thing had gotten on TV with the level of talent that they had in that league, we might be having a whole different conversation today than we're having right now. So
anytime we talk about the ABA, shout out to the Silver Brothers. Shout out to the Silver Brothers, because that's business, and they figured that out. And I think players can do that. If you assemble talent, you create a product, and you hold firm in what you are, you're gonna be all right. I mean, it's all of the players will make their money, because the kids don't care about, like you said, kids don't even care about teams anymore. The team that we grew up, we had one team, team. But now kids follow the player. Wherever the player is, that's my team. We grew up, and you didn't care who was on your team; it was your team. So we just live in a different age. The players have so much more control culturally, economically. Just their power is different. It's not that time where they had to work 2 jobs to maintain their roles as professional athletes. They don't have to do that. So it may be, would you rather make a little bit less and own it, or be subject to somebody else's whims and get paid a little bit more?
That's it.
I'd rather own it.
Pay you enough to live in the neighborhood with them. So we got to get ready to go, man. I hate to do this, but we'll do it again on Monday. Tell everybody when your show is coming back. Tell everybody about the article that you told me about, and give everybody all your deets.
Yeah, so go to The Athletic. If you don't have a subscription, it's not that expensive. It's about, you can do a free trial and you can check it out for a week and get the article. It's written by Larry Holder, and it's about why New Orleans has never sustained an all sports channel. I'm very prominent in that one. Also check on the Locked On Saints podcast if you're interested in that. And the Bird Calls podcast. I just did that to talk about the Pelicans. And I'm doing a whole bunch of recordings. So follow. Usually my stuff is posted on Twitter and Facebook at DM Grubb or at Hard to Paint with David Grubb. So you can check those out. And the podcast will be back on Monday. So right after I'm done with you, I'm post the first one and we'll be rolling.
Okay, and be sure and put that link out there so I can repost it so everybody can check you out, man. But listen, I appreciate you, bro. I'm for you. I'm with you. And, man, we just going to do it. We just going to do it till it gets done. Failure is not an option, and we're not going to get tired. Yep. Can't stop, won't stop. So
last thing is I'm doing it for my baby girl, man. I do it for her. And I'm not going to rest on that.
I feel you on that. All right, bro. Be safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Love you, bro.
Love you too. Donnie McClurkin up next with the Donnie McClurkin Show. He'll give you the best in gospel music, the latest in the gospel music industry. Donnie does his thing every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3. In the morning, you got Erica Campbell and Griff Get Up Mornings. And then you got my girl Linda J and Shiloh Radio. All that, and then we'll come back with Throwback Thursday. You got to tune in tomorrow because Aki Davis has some real deep breaking news. We'll get into all that tomorrow right here on The Lunch Break. Take care.
1140 KYOK on Rose. The legend continues.
Are you ready?
All right, y'all. Wanted to make sure that got started. But, hey, man, I appreciate y'all more than you know. I want to thank Sheryl Swoopes for coming on today out of her busy schedule and doing all that she's doing. Very, very, very poignant conversation. Be sure to share this show with other people so they can hear just the passion in one of the most legendary players in the game. You know, how she's passionate about today's game, how she's passionate about today's players, how she believes that this movement for change has to be affected, you know, in Atlanta, in Washington, wherever there's a WNBA team, no team can get left behind from this. And some of the comments that are coming out from the co-owner of the Atlanta Dream are just, those are outdated. I'm sorry. You cannot continue to call one group great when they do one thing, and then when another group does the exact same thing, some kind of way now they're unruly, or they're a mob, or they're thugs, or they're animals, and that kind of stuff. Those days are over. Those days are over. And, you know, again, people call this a cancel culture. We're just tired of your nonsense, whoever you are. If you are not bothered by that, then I'm tired of your nonsense too. So that's what it all boils down to. So again, y'all be sure and follow her her foundation, Returning to Our Roots, at RTOR22.com. That's her website for her foundation. So be sure and check her out. All right, y'all, as always, let's stop being divided. Let's be united. I do love you. There's nothing you can do about it except wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize everything around you, and be sensitive to everybody around you. And when you see that racism, kill it. Not the person, the racism. You know what I mean. All right, y'all take care. Talk to you soon.